guys, I'm Teresa, and this is obviously my channel, and I wanted to come to you guys with something a little bit different today. I've posted a lot of affirmation videos on my channel over the past 60 days that I've been trying to be consistent, or I guess it's 50 days right now, but we have 10 more days to go, and then it's 60 days of consistent posting. I can't believe it. I know some of the videos I've been posting aren't the best quality, but I promise you that going forward, I really want to try to be better at that, and I want to make it more of a priority to post more interesting content and just grow in that capacity. So that's why I'm trying out something new today. Since I am such a huge believer in manifestation and the law of attraction, and I am promoting using affirmations and things like that on my channel, whether you watch my live streams or you just actually watch my affirmation videos, I figured it would be interesting if I actually tell you ways that these affirmations have helped me, and following the rules of manifestation, how it has actually helped me to manifest things into my life. So if you find this video interesting, or if you are interested in, hearing different stories of things I've manifested, including my car, this one is going to be how I manifested my boyfriend. I've manifested gifts before. I've manifested new friends. So if you're interested in any of these type of videos, please subscribe to me below and like this video so that I know that you are interested in this style of content. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. How I manifested my boyfriend. This is actually my current boyfriend, and we have been together for about a year now, almost a year. The thing that I find so exciting about this manifestation story is that it was instant gratification, and I think that's something that doesn't always happen with manifestation. It's something where we tend to, like the really big manifests, we don't see them or recognize that we manifested it until way later, when we kind of connect the dots and look back at what we were saying, what we were doing, and how, oh my gosh, it's here now, we have it. This is one of those stories where right away I knew that I had manifested something that I had asked for, but then now looking back, more recently, I'm able to see how clearly I actually manifested that. It wasn't just the instant manifestation, it was more than that. So you will see as the story develops what I mean by that. But I did want to mention first, kind of thing I had to do to manifest, we could say even the person of my dreams or soulmate, the guy that I really wanted to be with, was that I actually listened to a podcast. I think it's actually How to Manifest Your Soulmate podcast. My friend had me listen to this. I actually have the date here. She had me listen to this on April 8th, so that's over a year ago, and that's only 1 month before I met my boyfriend, maybe a month and a half before. We listened to the podcast together, me and my friend, because she was listening to it, and then she was like, oh my gosh, this is so great, you need to do this as well. We were listening to this podcast, and the host of the podcast was explaining what exactly you should do and how she manifested the man of her dreams. And she said that what she did very clearly is she wrote out a chart in her journal that said 3 columns. 3. One has must-haves, and you just write out everything that you need the person that you want to spend the rest of your life with, or the person you want right now, whatever is good for you. You're going to write out everything that person must have in the first column. The second column, you're going to put what you would like. And then the third column, you're going to put your deal breakers. Now, for me, this was interesting because everything that I've ever learned about manifestation has been about wording, and how you really need to be conscious of what you're putting out there and the words that you're writing down or the words that you're saying, because you should never be saying the negative words. So for example, something that I've learned very early on when I was manifesting is that when you're trying to be on time somewhere, you should not be worried about the idea that you might be late. And you should never say I don't want to be late. I'm so nervous to be late. I'm not going to be late. Like, even if you're trying to be positive and you keep saying over and over again, I'm not going to be late, I'm not going to be late, I'm not going to be late, most likely you are going to be late because the main focus in your mind is the word late. So you should always twist that and you should say, I'm going to be on time. So something that made me nervous about this spreadsheet is that there was a deal breaker column. So I was very clearly putting out there what I didn't want, which you need to be careful of because then you might receive it. But this actually did work for me because I wrote it out. So I was very aware, like these are things that I may have experienced in the past or been around in the past and I don't want them anymore. And I'm being very honest with myself and putting it out there. But then in the future, when I looked at the list, if I looked at the list after this point, I made a point to not reread the deal breaker column. I put it out there. I got it out of my head. I stopped worrying about those things. But if I was going to go reassess this list and just think about who I wanted in my life, I was going to look at the must-have list. And so that worked for me. And also this journal, I wrote that this is how much of the journal was completed when I wrote this checklist. This is how much was left. So I was very close to being done with this journal when I wrote this in. And I think that also was key because I wasn't carrying it around and constantly thinking about this list and, droning on about it. Just wrote it. And then pretty much within the next 2 days, I finished the journal because there was only these are calendar pages in the back. So there's only probably about 5 pages left in the journal. So I wonder even if I have a last date in here. Yeah, so I actually finished this journal on the 17th and I wrote this on the 8th. So I only had this journal, I generally carry a journal around with me if I need to clarify that point at this point. But yeah, so I only had this in my possession a few days after I finished this checklist, which means I pretty much wrote this checklist, stuck the journal on my shelf, and only pulled it out maybe once or twice after writing this list. So then what happens after I forget about that? I am about a month after. Now I am flying and it is the end of May. That was the beginning of April, and that was the end of May. And I am working and it's a long day. I can remember this day so clearly. So it was a long day, and I believe I was on a flight probably to Atlanta because I think I had 3 or 4 flights that day, and I was on my first or second flight of the day when this happened. And here comes in the instant gratification. So that was the long-term manifestation part of it. Now, this is the short-term instant gratification part of it. I was on a flight, and it was one of those airplanes. If you know anything about airplanes or if you fly frequently, it was one of those situations where the flight attendant is practically knee to knee with the person in front of her, just staring dead in their eyes. And I happened to have this very attractive guy sitting in front of me, and he reminded me of someone that grew up on the same street that I did when I was in high school. So of course, I'm like, do I know him? Let me look it up. I'm in my little flight attendant device, looking up his name to double check because, again, I said he was very handsome, had not seen this person in a long time, and I'm just staring him dead in the eyes. Basically, our knees are touching, very intimate moment, and I figure it's probably good to figure out if I actually know him and not be awkward and be acting like I don't know him when I actually should know him. So anyways, I'm looking him up and I find out he is from Virginia, and no, he is not the person I'm thinking of. I absolutely do not know him, but that does not change the fact that he's super attractive, and we have to just stare at each other for about 20 minutes while we get into the air, and then we will have to do it again for about 20 minutes while we're descending. Throughout the flight, a bunch of things actually happen. I forget what they were, but I think there was maybe turbulence and people had to sit down, but they wanted to get up and they wanted to use the restroom, but we were recommending them not to. And so there was just a number of times where I caught him kind of laughing at my reactions to different passengers on the airplane, but in he thinks I'm funny or cute or whatever, not in like a mean way. We kept kind of doing that thing where like we're looking out the window, but then we look over at the other person and they happen to catch our gaze. And just like a number of things, like as I did service, you know, I interacted with him, but we never really introduced ourselves or spoke. We just had a bunch of little awkward moments. And it was super frustrating because I generally don't find passengers attractive at work. In this case, for some reason, whatever was going on with me, I thought he was super duper attractive. So, anyways, long story short, we pretty much stare at each other for 2.5 hours straight, off and on. You know, I go hide in the back at some points and then, you know, come back and whatever. We stare at each other for a couple seconds and I go back in the back, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, at the end of the flight, as we're descending, all I can think is, okay, Tracy, just like introduce yourself, just say hi. All you have to do is say, like, where are you going? Like, there's so many like one-liner little things that you could say, but of course I'm the most awkward human on the planet. And if you ever have met me in person, you know this. So I don't say anything, and he's clearly also very awkward, and he doesn't say anything. And for some reason, I feel like the only thing I said to him is like maybe he tripped or I tripped at the end of the flight, and then something was said between us. But other than that, I don't remember. I think I said, have a good day. So pretty much we didn't say anything to each other. We never introduced each other, like ourselves to each other. And he just went on his merry way. And I was standing there saying goodbye to the last few passengers because I was not the flight attendant in the very back of the plane, but I was very close to the back of the plane. So by the time he was leaving, almost everyone was off the plane. There was maybe like 40 people left on the plane. So as I'm saying goodbye to those last people, I'm just thinking in my head, oh my gosh, you lost your chance. He was so attractive. That's so frustrating. You need to do better. And then I immediately switched on my manifestation hat because I was in this type of mindset at this moment in time. Like, I was all about manifestation. I was always being positive. I was always watching what I say and trying to be very, very mindful. So all of a sudden I switched my way of thought and I'm like, no. Crazy things happen every day. Things tend to work out for you, and you are going to get a phone number today. You are going to get a man's phone number. Someone is going to be interested in you, and it's very, very easy. It happens every day that, you know, someone might not have the courage to say something in the moment, but then they'll catch themselves after they get off the plane or something, and they'll wait for you in the gatehouse, and then they'll give you their number. It happens to flight attendants all the time. So there's no reason to think like there's no chance now. Also, I still had 3 flights that day, 2 or 3 flights. So there's still plenty of opportunity to manifest a phone number. And it could be his if it's meant to be with him, or it might be someone else's. So I like build myself up, like I, you know, pump myself up, probably go in the bathroom, look at myself like, you're gorgeous, you look great, you're gonna definitely get a guy today, blah, blah, blah. And I'm working with my friends on this flight. So, you know, I just walk out with my luggage off the plane, join my friends, and we're all having a good time. I don't even think I mentioned, or maybe I do, that mentioned that like there was a hot guy and like I let it go or whatever, and I was disappointed. But I just kind of brush it off and laugh it off. And I'm very like, if I did mention like there was a hot guy, I said it in like a positive way, like, oh, there was a hot guy, I wish I would have like made something happen. Wouldn't it be cool if he was in the gatehouse? Something like that. Like I didn't like say it in a way that put me down. And then I went on into the gatehouse, went through the airport, went to the next flight, and then another flight, and then another flight. And the whole time I was staying really positive that for sure at some point in the day, I will manifest meeting a guy. But at the same time, I was not like overly stressed about it because I didn't need a man. I actually already had people in my life that I was seeing. I feel like at this point in time, I might have been talking to 2 people, if not 3, but probably 2, but mainly 1. But all like I was just dating around, it wasn't like I was doing anything wrong. But anyway, so since I was dating openly and I had options, not that they were my soulmate, but I had options, so I wasn't feeling like depressed or alone or needy. So this was just a fun game that I was playing with myself, and that's all it was, a game. I didn't have any like real, like, if I didn't manifest someone, okay, big deal. If I did manifest someone, great. So anyways, we get through our whole work day, and it was earlier than I normally get off. I normally work until 10 p.m., 11 p.m., even midnight, sometimes even later. And this is when I was back living in Florida, actually. And so I definitely more so worked later. But this flight happened to get out at, I believe, around 7 p.m. And so we go to get on the employee bus, because if you work at the airport, you generally can't park at the airport. You have to park somewhere else, because there's too many people that work at the airport to have everybody's cars parked on site at the airport. Again, this depends totally what airport you work at. I guess if you work in the middle of nowhere in a really tiny airport, maybe you park on site. But anyways, this was not a small airport, and we had to get on a bus. Okay, so this is the point when I have to retell the end of the story, because I was not recording the last 10 minutes. So anyways, we all take our seats. I tell my friend I'm not going to sit next to her, and I end up sitting right behind her. There was only 4 of us, our crew, on the bus, and then within 1 minute, all of a sudden, I don't know, work got out for the rest of the airport or something, and the entire bus filled up. And I ended up moving from the aisle seat to the window seat to make room, because every seat was now taken on the bus. And I'm going to be completely honest, this tells you everything you need to know about my personality, but I did not look at the person that was sitting next to me. I just moved over, put my lunchbox on my lap, was looking at my phone, and someone sat next to me. Don't know at this point who it was. And then about 10, maybe a little bit longer minutes into the bus ride, I start to feel something on my shoulder. And I kind of look over, and I can tell that this person next to me with a lot of hair is sleeping on my shoulder. His head is just leaned in, and he fell asleep right on my shoulder. And what is it called? So I just, being the weirdo I am, and just like so non-confrontational or like even bothered, I just look at my phone, and I feel uncomfortable, but I just keep staring at my phone, and I'm on Instagram. And that probably goes on for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, because it's like a 30-minute bus ride. And then when we get to the actual employee parking lot, the bus has to stop about like every minute. There's a stop, because there's about like 10 different stops within that parking lot where you can get off and go to your car. So everyone gets a bit more rowdy as they're getting off the bus. People are saying goodbye to people and whatnot. And also there's the motion of the bus stopping and going consistently. So the person next to me wakes up. I remember noticing very clearly that he looked over at me, looked away, and then looked over at me again, like a double take. And I was watching like out of the corner of my eye after that point, and I seen him kind of look down at my phone, and then him ask me if I'm married, which just felt so weird to me. I've never had someone ask me if I was married, and it just felt such a strange question. I mean, I guess I'm not that young, so you could be married, but for me, like, it's just a big deal if, like, I had a boyfriend, so maybe you just ask if I'm single, but he specifically asked if I was married, which is apparently his line. Like, he can date someone that's not single, but they can't be married. So anyways, he asked me if I was married. I said no. And then he asked me if I come here often. And of course, me being the type of person that just answers everything like at face value and doesn't see the, humor in it, I was just like, yeah, I think I come here like twice, maybe 3 times a month for a trip, blah, 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 went on a little bit. And then he had to go. He was starting to stand up to leave the bus, and he asked me for my Instagram handle, which at the time seemed to make sense because I literally was on Instagram the entire time I was sitting next to him. And then that evening, he messaged me and we started talking, and he sent me his phone number. So initially, I did not get a phone number that work day, but by the evening, he had sent me his phone number, and we continued to talk, and we ended up dating, and now we have been together almost a year. And so the instant gratification element of that is obviously that day at work, I had made a goal for myself that I was going to get a phone number, and I was very clear about it. And I did receive that phone number. The manifesting my soulmate, my boyfriend, the guy of my dreams element comes into play more long term when I now have really got to know him and he has become a significant part of my life. And I look back at the list that I made in my journal originally, let's say almost 2 months before I met him. And in the journal, it clearly states what I want my man to have, what I would like him to have, and what I cannot live with. And he does not have any of those negative traits, and he does have all of the must-haves and all of the likes. There's nowhere where it's like where I'm kind of having to mold him into what I want. He's already every single thing I had previously thought of in a man. And so it's amazing. And I just wanted to share my story because I think it's really positive, and it gives people hope that might be going through a breakup or might have not been with someone that they've truly clicked with in a long time. If you're really focused and also not focused, like how I wrote this in my journal and then just kind of put it on my shelf and started a new journal just more about myself and, what's like my daily life, and I didn't really stress about it, and I was openly dating other people at the time. I wasn't hung up on only looking for the absolute perfect man. I was giving everybody a chance, but then the perfect guy just kind of fell into my lap. And yeah, that's my story. That's how I manifested the man of my dreams and my current boyfriend. Thank you so much for watching my manifestation story. If you found it inspiring, if you're interested in this type of content, please like the video, subscribe for more videos. Let me know down below if you've had any amazing manifestation experiences and if you would like to hear more of mine. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you next time.